This is Paris. Well, not exactly. It's a replica of Paris built in China called Sky City, and it has been gaining quite a lot of attention online. This housing estate features many iconic landmarks of Paris, including its own Eiffel Tower. Putting the two side by side, you can definitely notice the uncanny resemblance between them. But this wasn't the first time someone tried to recreate the City of Lights. In fact, the French themselves also tried it over a century ago. But why? To understand the story behind this, we must start from the early 20th century. That was when airplanes were first invented and then weaponized by European countries. The world saw its first airstrike in 1911, carried out by Italy against the Ottoman Empire. However, it wasn't until World War I that airstrikes became widely used. After World War I started, Paris soon became an obvious target for Germany due to its high importance and proximity to the front lines. Plus, if Paris did fall, it wouldn't be long before the rest of France falls too. In August 1914, a single German airplane dropped 4 bombs on Paris, along with leaflets and banners in German colors. Newspapers at the time showed that initial attacks like this didn't result in much damage, nor did it cause any real concern among Parisians. Instead, many were fascinated by the planes and would rush to get a good view of them. And if they're lucky, they might even get to catch a glimpse of the bomb drop. However, this false sense of security wouldn't last very long. Enter the Zeppelins, a German invention that would soon become a nightmare for millions of Europeans. From March 1915, Germany carried out multiple Zeppelin air raids over Paris, which proved to be much more destructive. These haunting photos captured by French photographers show the aftermath of a Zeppelin attack that caused 24 deaths in Paris. This ultimately forced Paris to impose a blackout to protect itself from night raids. Although Zeppelins were effective in carrying out attacks, they were easy to spot and extremely vulnerable to fire. Planes with incendiary ammunition could easily light up these hydrogen-filled vessels. So, in 1917, Germany started to use the Gotha, a new and improved strategic bomber. The Gotha turned out to be extremely deadly and hard to intercept. One Gotha air raid on London killed 162 people, making it the deadliest air raid on Britain during the war. After witnessing the casualties caused by German attacks, French authorities knew they needed a plan to protect the capital. Finally, they came up with an elaborate and unusual solution: build a fake Paris. This plan may sound absurd today, but it actually made sense back then, because by 1917, the increased anti-aircraft firepower had made daytime raids on Paris too risky, and attacks were mainly carried out at night. And unlike pilots today, who have GPS systems to help determine their positions, World War I pilots relied on landmarks and visual references to navigate. This meant German bomber pilots would often search for the lights of trains and city streets to find Paris. It is with this in mind that French authorities decided to build a fake Paris by illuminating strategically placed decoys, creating a literal city of lights. Italian-born engineer Fernand Jacopozzi was hired to design the fake bombing target. The plans he laid out were ambitious. In total, 3 separate zones were to be built. Located northeast of Paris, Zone A will replicate the industrial suburbs of Saint-Denis and Aubervilliers, as well as the 2 main railway stations in the area. Zone B was designed to resemble Paris itself. A site near the suburban town of Maisons-Laffitte was chosen for this zone because it was conveniently nestled in a loop of the Seine River, similar to the one that crossed Paris. And finally, situated east of Paris, Zone C was a fictional urban area of large fake factories filled with nothing. Within these zones, complex networks of lights would be laid out to simulate squares and avenues. Replicas of the Paris Opera House, Champs-Élysées, and several other notable monuments would be constructed. There would also be mock factories made out of wood with painted canvases stretched out on top and lighting placed under to mimic dirty glass roofs. In order to create a more believable effect, The lights were even designed to dim significantly during air raids. It also wouldn't seem like a bustling city without some movement, so in his plans, Jakopoltsy added slow-moving barges on the Seine, and most impressively, an extensive railway system that would circulate the sham city. Replicas of railway stations would be achieved by luminous canvases spread on the ground. Color lamps would be installed along the tracks to mimic railway signals. Train carriages would be made out of wood, with lighting projecting at the sides to simulate windows. And to create the illusion of a train in motion, lighting will gradually run through the 2,000-meter track, illuminating carriages and artificially produce steam along its way. No detail was overlooked, but did it work? It turns out we'll never know. Germany signed an armistice on November 11, 1918, ending the war. By that time, only a part of Zone A saw the light of day, and was deconstructed almost immediately after the war. The fake Paris remained a secret until 1920, when newspapers started to run stories on this mysterious project. Jakopoltsy received France's highest decoration for his work on the fake Paris and later went on to design lighting for the real City of Lights. And although his fake city was short-lived, his other works would become timeless icons of the Paris night sky.